My name is Malayka Neith Cornejo. I'm from UNLV. Today I will be reading the story of Mohamed Maolin from Somalia. He's a student at Henry High in 9th grade. My family lived a decent life in Somalia. My father was a teacher and later became a principal at a renowned high school. He even ran for mayor for our small city, which was called Karan. He provided a good life for me and my 2 brothers, and my 2 sisters and my mom. He was a respected figure and well known by many. He was even a manager at a hotel, which back then was one of the best hotels around in all of Somalia. I could remember going there, and I thought, this is America, not Somalia. Room service brought 2 chocolate cakes, which was the best chocolate cake I ever had. To this day, I can't forget about it. But the country was at a mass corruption. Unemployment levels went up, and the homeless levels were at an all-time high. Trade with other countries dropped. People started stealing from each other and, worst of all, killing each other. The government imposed strict rules that made matters worse. Families were forced to pay 2% of their entire income to the government, and families went broke within an average of 5 months. My dad, though, tried to help the people by paying the 2% they had to pay every month. He offered people to come live with him in his home. Tourists dropped significantly, too. The hotel was running low on guests because no one could afford it anymore. People started fighting in the streets. Some even planned to kill the president. Somalia was not the nation it once was. All of this started in '91. My father had enemies with his own people. He made them because they thought he wasn't doing enough to pressure the government. Then one Friday morning, he received a phone call from the hotel to come as soon as possible. He got dressed, and the last thing I said to him was, "Don't forget to bring me some candy." My mom urged him not to go, but I guess this time, his time had come. Apparently, they took him and one other guy as hostages, killed them in the middle of a cemetery, and left. Cowards. My mom almost fainted when she heard the news. A woman fainted, though, soon as she saw my mom crying. I never was able to see my dad's body or ever get the candies I asked of him. My mom took on the fatherly figure from that day on. I was barely 6 when this occurred, and it was up to Mom to take his place. She didn't know what to do. She didn't know how to support us because she didn't even have a diploma. Without at least a high school diploma, you couldn't be anything. She turned to her father, who was a successful businessman. He owned a lot of land and offered us a home with no charge. So we moved to another city a little bigger than Karan called Hamar. The house he gave us was a nice one, similar in size to the one we had back in Karan. He even gave us a housemaid. We lived there for the next 3 years with our grandpa's money. My dad's mom offered us to come live with her because my uncle, which at that time lived in America, sent a sponsor or a visa-like request for us to come to America. My uncle petitioned us to come there along with Grandma, which is the reason why we moved to Kenya. We took the visa to the immigration office. It was a long process that took nearly a year. We lived a harder life in Kenya because we slept 3 to a bed. Sometimes I ate once a day because there wasn't enough food to go around for everyone. Police would come and search our apartment without telling us why. The manager would come to our apartment drunk and yell at us. When she got drunk, she went to the bathroom in front of our door. Worst of all, there were about 4 apartments in the complex, and we all shared the same bathroom. The bathroom didn't have a key, so anybody could come in and use it, and it was the residents' job to clean the bathroom. My grandma always told me to keep my head above the water, and I tried. When they gave us the go pass to America, I truly believed I was going to paradise for many reasons. I knew that our problems could only get better in America. I also heard that America had a refrigerator in every house. I heard that America had toilets and a bathtub in every house. All of these things were too good to be true to me or to my family. I even thought that America's streets were all carpet and cleaned daily. I thought everyone in America was rich. I made up words thinking they were English. 2 days before I was to board a plane from Africa to America, we went shopping for new clothes to board the plane. The clothes I bought were the best clothes I ever got in my life. When I was boarding the plane, they screened us, and I had a Kenyan quarter in my pocket, and they didn't detect it. When I finally got on the plane was huge. I didn't even expect them to be anything as huge as they were. On the plane, they brought us food for us to eat. On the side, there were some forks and knives. I didn't know how to use them. Luckily, there was a man who looked very American that offered to help me. Of course, we were communicating like two monkeys. But we're human. We understood each other. That's how I learned how to use a fork. I vomited while the plane was landing. I ate some awkward-tasting meat. I later found out it was pork. I was too excited to worry about that. We landed on American soil in mid-May of 1994 in New York. A beautiful state with a lot of tall buildings, which I did expect. I was amazed to see how much different kind of cars there were and their shapes and sizes. I was amazed, too, that my color was a little bit darker than the rest of the people at the airport. One thing I did expect was everyone to be rich, but that wasn't the case. I had better clothes than a lot of Americans I've seen. Another thing I did expect was for the ground to be clean and carpeted. It wasn't at all. The ground was street, better streets than the kind of streets I've seen. There were also signal light for traffic and pedestrians. I was amazed at that. I had seen a limousine and thought that cool and asked my grandma, let's ride in that car. I thought everything was free too. Turns out nothing is free. I thought I was coming to paradise, but not exactly paradise, but a better environment than what I was in. After about 18 hours or so, we boarded another plane straight to San Diego. This is when they gave us food with forks and knives. I knew how to use it. When we got to San Diego, my uncle who had sent us the visas was waiting for us. He had an apartment prepared for us. I couldn't wait to see if the apartment had a toilet and a bathroom. They did. I couldn't believe it. They even had a bathtub in the bathroom. Oh yeah, the bathroom was inside instead of outside. My uncle was the biggest help we had. He helped us settle down. He told me, don't worry, everything's going to be all right. I then tried to settle my mind and tried to face the future with a new heart and face. Settling in was not going to be easy. The first month of my arrival, I tried to learn the basics of English so I can communicate with others. I first learned how to say, "What's your name?" and "How are you?" I also learned how to say, "I'm fine," and objects such as a car. I can remember going to my first class and the teacher asked me, "How are you?" And I replied, "I'm fine." Then she asked me, "What's your name?" I replied, "Mohamed." Then she told me to have a seat. I was still standing until she pointed to the ground. I learned then that I was in America because I never went to school in Africa. I went to study the Quran. I had to memorize it. If I didn't, I got hit with a stick. I still have the marks on my back. I love everything I see in this country. The people treat you with respect. In school, I got more attention than any other student in the class. I was averaging all A's during my first year. Many things have changed. I now know that I have a potential of becoming anything I want to become. And there are more than plenty. There's not a lot of drama going through in my mind. I also found out that I don't have to worry about getting hit by the teacher or by anybody. In this country, if you do a crime, you do the time, no matter your level, rank, or how much money you have. It's a lifetime journey that I will take with pride and joy, knowing that I have a potential to be somebody. To me, and how my mind grew up and how I operated, there's no feeling like it in the world.